In this demonstration, we will talk about investigating a social engineering attack. We will focus on identifying the validity of emails, identifying the validity of websites, and identifying virus hoaxes. Let's take a look at email validity. You should always be wary of emails from unknown organizations or senders. You should not open any emails from an unknown email address and be even more cautious of their attachments. A lot of email hoaxes are pretty easy to spot because of their bad spelling and terrible grammar. However, hoax emails use a variety of tactics to convince you they're real. Let's take a look at a couple examples. Look at this first one, my please clarify email. This is from a Mr. Herberts Ravis. You can see the rather odd email address Mr. Herberts has. This email is from somebody pretending to be a Swiss banker and claiming to have accounts worth $36 million available for the taking. He's claiming that if you do this and sign up, you will get 40% of the money, even though it's not yours, and he'll keep 60%. All you need to do is send him all of your banking information, like your bank address and your account number, which you should never share. This request is a clear indication of a hoax. He's also trying to use a trust tactic, saying, "Hey, I'm on your side. I'll help you get this money." It's clear to see that this is not real. It's also very poorly worded, and the grammar is terrible, one of the biggest indications of a hoax. Then we have another email, this attention email, that says it's from the usafed.gov. This is someone posing as somebody from the Treasury. This email is interesting because obviously this email address is not a federal government address, but the address down at the bottom for the Treasury website is the legitimate address. If you do click on that, it may seem like this is more genuine than it is, but the federal government would never ask you to check any funds or email them account information to a Gmail address. That is a clear indication as well. Another way you can verify an email is by taking a look at some of the plain text of the HTML information that's found in the email. This allows you to see things broken down into text and web addresses, instead of links and buttons that lead you to certain addresses. To look at an email in HTML format in Microsoft Outlook, click on Actions, Other Actions, View Source. This opens up the email in HTML format, and you can see how the email is broken down into plain text. This email is pretty harmless. Looking at the header information is another way to verify an email and its contents. The header information is helpful because it shows IP information for the path an email took from its origin to the destination. It also shows other information, like the mail client that was possibly used, the actual email address of the sender, and the originating IP address of the email. There are a few ways to look at header information. One is in Outlook. In Outlook, it's helpful but not easy to read. If we go into File, Properties, you can see the header information right here. As you can tell, this can't be resized and is hard to read in this format. Instead, view the header information in a text editor like Notepad, or in this case, Notepad++. In Notepad++, I have this Please Clarify email open. Highlighted is an interesting and obvious giveaway that this is a suspicious email. The mailer client or the software client that was actually used to send the email is Microsoft Outlook Express. This is a more than 12-year-old mail client. That is a dead giveaway of a hoax. On my attention email from the fake federal government, you can see where it shows usafed.gov. If you look right here, the email address is obviously not the right email address for any federal government entity. The reply is this western@48@gmail.com address, which is also false. I also highlighted the treasury.gov information here that was actually correct. Another thing we can do here is see the originating IP of the sender. If we take this address, highlight it, and copy it, we can actually look up some information on that IP address to see where it's actually coming from. All IP addresses on the internet for users come from some ISP somewhere. We can go to a website called Aaron.net, go to the search, and paste in our address. It will find some information on this IP address. There are services that you can pay for that will give you a lot more information, but this one is free and simple. Looking at this information, it's obvious this email did not come from the federal government. It came from the Latin America and Caribbean IP addresses regional registry. You can see the city that this is actually coming from is from Montevideo in Mexico. Clearly, this is not someone from the Treasury Department trying to give you money. Another thing we want to talk about is verifying websites. The first thing that you should always do is double check the spelling of the website you're navigating to. If you're trying to go to PayPal and the address you end up at is paypals.com or paypal.fakesite.com, then you're likely in the wrong place. You could accidentally give away your login information for PayPal or a similar site by entering it into a false site. Be aware of how a site looks and whether it loads properly. Secondly, you could also verify a site by viewing the SSL certification information. An SSL certificate, Secure Sockets Layer certificate, is a digital certificate that authenticates the identity of a website and encrypts the information sent to its server using SSL technology. Windows 10 has two different default browsers. The Edge browser is a bare-bones browser made for tablet PCs, Windows 8, and Windows 10. It will also have the full Internet Explorer browser. If we open both of these, there's a slight difference in how the SSL certificates are shown. In the Edge browser, if you click on the lock in the address bar, it shows information about the certificate authority, CA, and information about the certificate, the website, and that the website is identified by the GeoTrust Global CA as google.com. This organization, the CA, properly identifies this website as what is shown. We'll talk a little bit more about certificate authorities in another lesson, so we won't go in depth about those right now. Now, if you go to the Internet Explorer and click on the little lock, it will show you the same information, but will also give the option to view the certificates. You can actually go and view the certificate of this website and see who it's issued to, www.google.com, and issued by the Google Internet Authority. You can also see when that certificate expires. That's good information to have if you're trying to verify that a website is actually what it claims to be. If there is no lock and there is no SSL certificate, you should be a little more cautious. Sometimes Internet Explorer will have some information or some blocks to say, this isn't a trusted website. There will sometimes be errors from certain websites that don't have valid SSL certificates available. Our last topic is identifying virus hoaxes. You've probably seen something like this before. Maybe one of your coworkers has come to you in a panic, worried about this type of error, and it's obviously very alarming. It's meant to be. This hoax is designed to scare or intimidate users into thinking they have contracted some type of virus. Normally, it says something like Trojan, as you can see here. Often, there is a number you can call where they'll take payment over the phone for fixing the virus, but they never actually do anything. There have been similar Windows Defender hoaxes that use the same tactics, so it's good to understand that viruses don't normally want to be discovered. Unless you are being notified by a trusted antivirus software that you or your administrator has installed, then it's likely just a hoax. These hoaxes can be very sophisticated or very simple and easy to clear out. That's it for this lesson. We went over verifying the validity of emails by looking at the HTML version and header information of emails. We talked about verifying that a website is correct by checking the spelling of the address and by the presence of a valid SSL certificate. And we talked about identifying virus hoaxes.